Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we'll be preparing some baby back ribs. This is actually just going to be the prep portion of me preparing my rub for the ribs because they're going to sit all day with the rub on them. Focus. Anyway, how y'all been? Everybody who watched my video the other day, thank you. Anybody who subscribed to my channel, thank you as well. I really want to get this off the road. Why are you not focusing? There we go. From watching my kids' YouTube videos, I've learned that as a trick, where if it's not focusing, you put your hand up to it and it focuses on your hand, and then all of a sudden it focuses. Those annoying voices have a good reason to be there, right? So while I'm preparing my rub, and while I'm preparing my my ribs for this later this evening, we'll talk about the diet that I do. Because as you know, I'm not into the whole fad diets. I'm not into the whole keto thing or whole 30 or whatever the fuck it's called, or paleo, or being a vegetarian or raw, or any of the other millions and millions of fucking weird ass diets that are out there. And again, I will say, will those diets work? Sure they will. Will they work forever? If you're willing to commit to them forever. I couldn't do that. If you can, you're a stronger person than me. Which isn't saying much. I'm not saying that I'm like this strong ass, I could do anything person. I just could not do it. So what works for me might not work for you. Now the big thing with me is that I've had the bariatric surgery, which limits my stomach size. And as I talked about in my blog article yesterday, which you read, of course, right? If not, it's cool. Is that what's stressed for bariatric patients is protein. We need to have a large amount of protein in our diets because our stomachs are so small. That if we're eating too many carbs or too much fat, that's what's filling our small little baby-sized stomachs. And we're not getting the proteins that we need to sustain our days. So instead of basing my recipes as I used to just on the flavors that I was looking for, I actually start my recipes now looking at whatever protein I'm going to be using and then basing my flavors off of that. That being said, I like pork. I like dead pig. Pork and steak are probably two of my things. I mean, chicken is like the go-to for anybody on a diet, right? People have like loads and loads of chicken all the time. And chicken's good. It kind of is like the flavor melder, right? It doesn't have much of a taste. It just takes whatever... It's the tofu of the animal protein world. It just takes whatever flavor you put around it. I guess it has a little bit of a taste, but to me it doesn't. To me it's semi-flavorless. I mean, I cook with chicken a lot, mainly because chicken is pretty cheap. But like I say, I work in a supermarket. I work overnights in a supermarket, so it's fantastic that no customers are there to bother me. So on my lunch breaks, I get to walk around the supermarket and I'll see what's on sale, what's not on sale, and I will create recipes based on that. And last week, baby back ribs were on sale. I guess for the Super Bowl, I guess they figured people would be cooking stuff like that for the Super Bowl. So they were $1.99 a pound. So this is a almost 3 pound, 2.8 pound thing. $5, 57 cents. Technically, you're only supposed to eat 4 ounces of protein. That is a serving size. Oh, we're gonna focus again. Maybe not. Sorry for the blurriness. So 3 pounds is technically, what is that? 3 times 16, so 48 ounces. There's no way this feeds 12 people. There's something wrong with that math. I just got home from work. I haven't gone to sleep yet, so I'm sorry if my math is off. Focus. Anyway, but basically I look at it as I want to have 3 ribs each. Now you got to remember that 2.8 pounds is with the bones as well. It's not all just the protein. So figure maybe 3 ounces of bones for every 4 ounces of meat. So maybe 7 ounces total after you're weighing it. So that makes much more sense. So if we're looking at 48 ounces divided by 7, what is that? 4, that's 7 servings. Even that's nuts. Because there's usually 8 bones in a rack of ribs. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. This is a big fucking rack. So figure 3 bones each divided by 13. So I'm saying this is going to be about 4 servings. That makes more sense. So yeah, 3 bones each. Perfect. Now the first thing you want to do when you get a rack of ribs is on the back of the ribs, you can see, there's this membrane. This membrane is, I mean, you could eat it, but it's chewy as fuck. And you gotta be able to take it off to get the flavor really into the meat. Because the rub, the rub that we're going to be creating is a salt-based rub. And the salt will help draw out any liquid, and as it's drawing out the liquid, that flavor will replace the liquid that's inside the rib. Now it's winter in New Jersey. It's not terribly cold right now. It's not like the monstrosity of coldness that we had last weekend, but it's only supposed to get to 40 today. So, and I live in a townhouse community, so I don't have access to a smoker. So I will not call these barbecue ribs. I will just call these ribs. Because the way I'm going to cook these ribs is I'm going to start them in my Instapot, and I'm going to finish them in my air fryer. Now if you do this correctly, now the problem is that these are cold, so my hands are going numb as I'm handling them. But if you do this correctly, you should be able to just score the back once, grab a hold of that membrane, and just tear it off the rack. I think I've been able to do that once in my life, because my hands get cold, because I have baby circulation, because also due to my surgery, one of the things they don't tell you is that you're cold constantly. It mainly is scientifically based on the fact that I'm only ingesting about 700 calories a day. 700 to 900, depending on my activity level. Now, my work is very physically demanding, so I do eat a little bit more on the days that I work, mainly so that I can not pass out at work. It's a good thing to do, right? It's a good thing to not... That one didn't work, so let's try this again. Now, protein, here we go. Okay. Now, these ribs are being a little bitch. Anyway, I will get that off. Let me make my rub for you while I'm still attempting to take off this freaking membrane. This is a real cooking show, folks. It's obviously not a Food Network quality show where things are prepped for me and everything's ready. I am going to get this damn membrane off whether I like it or not. But let's make the rib. Let's make the rub. The rub, I'm going to be using a couple different spice blends. Now, I guess you could just use one. But I prefer to mix up a couple things. And none of the spice blends actually had everything I wanted, so that's why I am going to try things out. So first thing you're going to need is salt. Like I said, it's a salt-based rub to get the liquid out of the ribs and to open up the pores of the pork to accept the flavors that of the rub that we're creating. So it's gonna seem like a lot of salt. It's not really. It's probably a quarter cup. I again, okay, so this is the first one actually. I'm not measuring because I don't measure. I just eyeball things. Like, that looks good. I'm going to mix in a little bit of this Chicago steak seasoning in here, and the reason I'm doing this is because I would like to get a little smokiness to it. And the ingredients on this one is it's salt, black pepper, sugar, garlic, onion, lemon, citric acid, and a natural hickory smoke flavor. Yeah, it tastes fantastic. Oh my god. Okay, that's really good. So we're gonna, basically the way I measure is I just cover what I have in there with the ingredient that I just had. Okay. So we're gonna do that one. And then I'm also gonna put in a little bit of this Arizona Dreaming thing. And the reason I'm doing this one is because this has a couple of the peppers in it. It has chipotle, it has ancho, so it's going to have a little bit of a smokiness and a heat to it. It has jalapeno. It also has cocoa. Now, cocoa is actually a traditional Mexican ingredient to use in savory dishes. So we're just going to do a little bit of that one. Because I'm not the biggest fan of like the cumin taste, or cumin, or whatever you want to call it. But I still like it a little bit. Now, lastly, what we're going to put in is, because I like to add a little sweetness to enhance the sweetness of the pork, is I'm going to throw in a little bit of brown sugar. Just to mix it all together. So, could I have bought all of those herbs and spices and everything individually and made this myself? And I used to. Before I found the greatness that is Penzeys, I did. And I probably still will. Because every now and then there's a flavor profile that I want that just isn't coming from these. It's just too much of a metal flavor from these pre-made spice blends. And the only reason, like, you can get them in the store. You can get, like, Montreal steak seasoning, or you can get any type of seasoning in a regular food store. I don't, because I'm a snob. I can be a douchebag when it comes to food. I don't trust those companies. I don't trust McCormick's, and I don't trust companies that can sell a spice blend for $1.99 or $2.99. It's almost like going to McDonald's and thinking you're getting a quality hamburger for $1. It ain't happening, in my opinion. I mean, maybe, I'm sure they're good. I'm sure I've used them in the past. I trust Penzeys. Penzeys is known for their... In fact, they only do spices. And they source their spices from high quality farms all throughout the world. They're one of the few places where you can get like 97 different types of cinnamon, and yes, they do all taste different. You can get so many different things, and you can get like different vanillas, you can get different chili powders, and the chili powders are actually made with chilies. They're not just blends from... Okay, finally got it. Had to let my hands defrost there for a minute. Let's see, you grab on, and you just start ripping. Now, you can't be afraid to handle food if you're going to cook. Like, I know one guy who used to work in the Appy department at my thing, and I don't know how he did it, but he thought, like, touching food, like, he wore gloves for everything. Like, they're supposed to wear gloves anyway, but even, like, he said that even, like, cooking at home, like, he would, like, be gagging the whole time when he was touching, like, raw meat and everything like that. Whatever. Like, if I'm going to be feeding it to you, I better be able to touch it, right? Okay. So, I explained how I'm going to cook it. So, okay, so here we go. See? You just grab and pull, and that membrane is gone. And you throw that away, because that's nonsense. I'm very big on not throwing away things and finding different uses for it, but unfortunately the membrane that's on the back of pork ribs is not usable for anything. Anyway, so back to the proteins. 4 ounces of baby back ribs has 22 ounces of protein. 22 grams of protein, sorry. 22 ounces of protein would be fucking crazy, right? And it'd be like a weird science experiment that 48 ounces is 28 protein. There is a lot of fat. Fat is not something that I terribly worry about in my diet. I look mainly at my carbs, my carb intake, because that's going to fill me faster. Not even for the health benefits of eating low carb, but the fact that it's going to fill me faster. A potato is going to fucking wreck my stomach before I can even eat any ribs. And then I look at protein. Now, protein for a male who's had bariatric surgery is supposed to be between 80 and 100 grams a day. Do I hit that all the time? Sometimes. Not all the time. I try not to be too crazy with numbers. That being said, when I'm in a stall, when I notice my weight's not going down or is increasing a little bit, usually it's the weeks that I didn't hit my protein numbers. Your body will use that protein to help speed up its metabolism to help burn the fats in your body. Science. That's why I'm not the biggest fan of vegetarian diets. Not just because I love the taste of dead animal flesh, but because getting your proteins in a vegetarian diet is super hard. My mother just went to a semi-vegetarian diet. And I have nothing against vegetarians. I'm not like the Anthony Bourdain, rest in peace, of the worlds who like think vegetarians are the most evil people in the world, except the ones that fucking have to tell you every goddamn second that they're vegetarian and why, and the political stances that they're vegetarian. Those people I can't stand. But I have no problem with being vegetarian. You just really, really, really have to make sure you get your protein in, because it's hard. Beans, quinoa, seitan, which is, or seitan, tofu, edamame, you know, all those are great sources of protein if you're a vegetarian or going onto a vegetarian diet. But it's not for me. I'd rather just go the traditional way. So you're going to take this rub that we made. See, made a good amount of the rub. First we're going to do is taste it. Let's taste a little bit of the rub. Like I said, it's salty. It is salty, but that salt will go away. And let's talk about the Instapot a little bit. So, for those of you that don't know what the Instapot is, welcome to America, USA, Earth. It's probably one of the biggest trends of the kitchen gadget world in the past 2 years. And it's an electric pressure cooker. Now, pressure cookers have been around since, whatever, the 50s, probably before that. The way pressure cookers work is that water boils at a certain degree, right? I think it's 212 degrees, but I might be wrong there. I'm sure one of my science people will get back to me and tell me how awful I was at saying that. But as we increase pressure, as air pressure increases, that temperature needed to boil the water increases. So therefore, it can get hotter than what our normal boiling point is. And doing so cooks things faster. That being said, I've read a lot of people who've had issues with the Instapot saying, all of my food has come out bland. Well, there's a reason for that. The reason is that everything you cook in an Instapot, you're basically either braising or steaming. So you're cooking in a lot of liquid. And what that will do is whatever seasoning that you've put down on your meal, it will dilute it. So you kind of have to over-season whatever you're cooking to get the correct seasoning when it's done. So I'm liberally rubbing my meat. Oh, jiggity. With my spice rub that I just created. And yes, I'm going to say I created it because I mixed a bunch of shit together. Even though 2 of the 4 ingredients or 2 of the 6 ingredients were blended already. Okay, so that is liberally rubbed. Now I'm just going to throw this in the fridge and I'm going to let it sit all day long. Actually, I'm not going to throw it in the fridge. I'm going to put it into a gallon bag because as this salt extracts the liquid, it will begin to leak all over the place. So all I do is I fold up my ribs, I stick them in a gallon size bag, seal the bag up good so that it doesn't leak all over my fridge. And I'm going to put this in my fridge. So I cook that in my Instapot. I cook it on high pressure for 35 minutes, and then I let it naturally release its own pressure for about 15 minutes before I quick release the rest of it. And what that does is it makes an incredibly tender rib. And almost, I don't like fall off the bone. Now competition, if you ever watch barbecue competitions, fall off the bone is actually overcooked. What you want is you want a little what they call tooth. You want to be able to bite into a rib and to see your bite mark when you pull away. So everyone who says they like fall off the bone ribs, if that's what you like, that's what you like. But you're doing it wrong compared to quote unquote competition or barbecue competition ribs. So 35 minutes in the Instapot. The Instapot makes nice music. Ready? That's when you open and close it. It always makes me smile. I like to smile. And then after it's done in there, I will take it. I will cut it in half because my air fryer is kind of small. And I will brush it with a barbecue sauce that I'm going to also put on my my habanero chipotle hot sauce that I made in the last video. I'm going to mix those both together. I'm going to brush it on top and I'm going to throw it in the air fryer just to crisp up because again, you're cooking in liquid in the Instapot. Nothing will ever brown in an Instapot. If you see somebody asking about cooking a steak in an Instant Pot, slap them and leave because they have no fucking business purchasing steak. Anyway, I'm sorry, that made me angry. Let's smile again. So I'll put it in the air fryer for probably 10 minutes at 400 degrees. That'll crisp up the top. It'll caramelize all the sugars in the barbecue sauce that I'm going to be using, and the brown sugar that I just rubbed the meat in. And pork is a fantastic protein to use. Like I said, 22 grams of protein. I try to hit my 90, so that is, I eat 3 meals a day. I'm not one of those people who eats like every 2 hours or anything like that. I eat every 4 to 6 hours, and then I usually have one snack throughout the day. Try to hit about 20 grams of protein per eating period, if not more. And my schedule's all screwed up since I work overnights anyway, because I have a dinner at 2:30 in the morning. I come home from work at 7:30 in the morning, and I make myself like a slice of like crustless pizza or something like that, or have a spoonful of crunchy peanut butter. Other great proteins: despite my qualms earlier about it, chicken breast is also like 22 grams of protein, 20 to 25 grams of protein per 4 ounces. Chicken thighs are like 20. I much prefer thighs over chicken breast. I think they're more flavorful. They're more fatty too. And again, I don't really care that much about my fat intake. There's good fats and bad fats. Scallops, fish, shellfish, all amazing proteins. And steak. And a good old-fashioned ribeye steak, despite the fat content, also pretty good on proteins. So with this, I'm going to be making a warm German potato salad. I didn't realize I ran out of bacon because my 11-year-old seems to have re-fallen in love with bacon, so she ate almost us out of house and home of bacon. So I'm going to have to make my own kind of recipe. I have like salami. I was thinking maybe making like an Italian German potato salad. Maybe throw some Japanese flavor in there and have the Axis of Powers potato salad. Ooh, maybe I could fucking do that. Instead of using cider vinegar, I'll make a warm German potato salad with salami and rice wine vinegar. And it will be the Axis of Power potato salad. That sounds amazing. Heh. Okay. That sounds good. So that's what's dinner tonight. If you're interested in any information on how I'm cooking this, or have any questions about protein, Instapot use, air fryer use, temperatures, timing, anything like that, feel free to comment. Please do comment. Or you can shoot me an email at tntblog@gmail.com. You can also go to my blog, which is Thick and Thin Food Blog, at Wixsite, wixsite.com/home. I will put a link in the description of this video. And I'd love to hear from you. And thank you again for watching if you made it all the way through this again. And I'm also on Instagram. Again, the link is on the blog. It's on the homepage of the blog. The YouTube channel, the Facebook page. There's a Facebook page too, which is TNT Blog, I believe. Or just look up Thick and Thin Food Blog. And all images of my final products that I cook go on my Instagram page, which I believe is also Thick and Thin. But again, the link is on the website, which is also in the channel description as well. So if you want to click on that, you can get to my Instagram, the YouTube channel, which you're already there, and the Facebook page. So thanks for watching. Again, any questions, please feel free to shoot me an email. There's going to be a blog post put up tomorrow with the recipe for my French onion chicken that I did, and also explaining a little bit more about proteins and why I eat the way I eat and how I meal plan and everything like that. So have a great day, folks, and thank you for watching.